Injustice as it pertains to the challenge of unemployment is often fingered as one of the causes of restiveness or youth restiveness rather in Nigeria or generally. Now, this will be the thrust of our program today, Violence Free World. My name is Kali Ikwe. Welcome to the program. The raging tide of violence in Nigeria is proving increasingly frustrating as more dastardly acts continue across the country. Recently, the Nigerian army killed a key commander of ISWAP in northeast Nigeria, who interestingly was a very young man. A study of the age range of Boko Haram insurgents captured by the Nigerian military in the war against insurgency shows the predominance of young people among them. That many of them are well educated lends credence to the argument that unemployment is one of the key causes of young people joining insurgent and militant groups. Strong indicators suggest that general youth restiveness and the Boko Haram menace is fueled by the fact that Nigeria, one of the largest producers of oil in the world, has most of its population below the poverty line of $1 per day.
Corruption gives birth to unemployment, and unemployment gives birth to insecurity. How do I mean by that? Take for instance, some of the industries and refineries are grounded because the actors in those sectors choose to deliberately kill the industries because of their selfish interests, not in favor of the country.
There is no doubt that when the youth have nothing doing, they resort to violence. Not only resorting to violence directly, it becomes easy for charismatic persons who have evil agenda to convince them to do whatever they want them to do. Because you have the money, this person is hungry, you give him money, you convince him that so and so thing is correct, and that thing could be violent.
Well, I think, in my opinion, yes, this is the situation because an unemployed man is a willing tool in the hands of anybody who wants to manipulate him or her.
The former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Charles Soludo, said 67% of people in north central Nigeria live below the poverty line, while the northwest and the northeast have 71.1 and 72.2% respectively. More than 10 million children are out of school in northern Nigeria, an indication that the unemployment problem in northern Nigeria is worse than in other parts of the country.
There is no doubt at all that there's a correlation between impoverishment and violence. So the amount of violence we're having in our society today is a direct fallout of the huge unemployment, youth unemployment that we have, and the impoverishment of the youth. And I've said it in several fora that until we have an antidote to the youth unemployment in our country, I have said it's a ticking time bomb and it's beginning to manifest. And with time, if care is not taken, then there's going to be trouble.
For those who graduated for the past 10 years that has no job today, when they see adverts on the newspapers, the next thing that discourages them is issue of age. Most adverts will give a specification for age, which they will say between the age of 20 to 25. And those who are above 30, obviously they graduated like 10 years back.
You need to have leaders with visionary leaders that think of tomorrow, leaders that think of their subordinate, leaders that think of those around them. But unfortunately, governance in Nigeria today has been reduced to every 4 years where there will be election. All what leaders think of is to amass wealth that on the eve of election to share the 10,000 naira to 2,000 naira. That is why you see that leaders don't even think. If we have leaders with who are foresighted, they will remember, they will know that so year, this will be the number of unemployment. How do I try to reduce this unemployment to BRS minimum? They are not doing that. All they need to think of today is to look for how to give them reed grinding machine or phone or all those funny things and call it empowerment.
As the population soars and unemployment heightens, government, it must be acknowledged, has not relented in their search for solution. Notable programs include the recently introduced 774,000 temporary job schemes targeted at the unskilled labor force, the intensified Empower program, SMEDAN, and the Creative Industry Loan Scheme. Though this may be little, yet it holds prospect of triggering a positive economic revolution, something that will ultimately engender a violence-free Nigeria. And our special guest on the program today happens to be one very energetic Nigerian, an interesting personality, someone who had talked through for the people, who stood for the people until becoming an administrator himself. Festus Keyamo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Minister of State for Labor and Employment. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's come back to the meat of the matter now, properly, which is these 774,000 jobs. Now, this is for a limited period of time.
Yes.
And even the sum itself is meager again as compared to the cost of living in Nigeria. Now, do you think that this is the right way, this would have been the best way to go, rather than giving this as an investment rather somewhere? Because very soon, as soon as these people begin to get used to it, it's gone. So ultimately, would you think you have done much for these persons? Like feeding me in the afternoon?
Let me first of all disagree with you that it is meager. It is meager at your level. It is not meager at some other level. If you know the target audience for this job, then you know it is not meager. No government in history has targeted the laborers who are a vital part of this economy. Can you build a house without laborers? People who carry blocks, who carry cement, who are unskilled, and they call them unskilled labor. If I think back so much, I don't think there's any government that has targeted them in a very huge way like this. The problem with our elites is that when they feel that once any government program comes out that tries to address unemployment and all that, the first thing you think about are the young graduates. The second thing you think about maybe are the middle class, some kind of middle class. That is the mentality of our elites. There are other programs that target them, of course, target the young graduates. You have the Empower program there. You have SMEDAN. You have so many programs at SMEDAN, ND, many programs within government, departments that promotes, skill acquisition and all that for young graduates and, the educated people, the young educated people, Nigerians. But then there are some people who are still a vital part of the economy. These are the itinerant workers. They call them itinerant laborers. Itinerant because they don't have a workshop. They move from place to today. They are in this site, pouring concrete. The next morning they are in another town, another city, doing the same thing, going around. Every day you see them along maybe Kubwa Highway or something. They come out every day with shovels. There's no job that morning. They just come out waiting for somebody to say, guys, are you ready for work today? Say yes. I want to clear a site. How do we get into the truck? And they go. That is the day's pay. They live on a day-to-day basis. These are the people we are targeting. The itinerant workers. Government says, let them, instead of them roaming about every day looking for something to do, let government engage them now to do commercial, work, social work. Okay? They come to the society, they come to the community work more or less. Community, do anything the community feels they can use them for, that particular community. It's not about clearing gutter alone. They may want to bring the materials for them to build a rural road. Supply them, they may want to paint their primary schools again. Give them the paints, give them the brush, they'll paint those primary schools. Anything that particular local government or that particular local government want to do with the 1,000 persons for the 3 months. For that 3 months, in all, they get 60,000 naira. Now, you say it is temporary. What is permanent in life? You mean if you have a job that will last 10 years, You consider that permanent?
No.
Even civil service job that says after 30 years you retire, is that permanent? It's not permanent. It's also temporary to the extent that it's so that one temporary is longer than the other temporary. It's just that within that period, you could use it to advance your life. Within the period you work in the civil service, use it to train your children, use it to build houses, use it to, to the 3 months too, that money, use it to plough back to your small businesses. These are people who use the 60,000 naira to go and put back in their tomatoes business, some women. So women will have to, the women we are going to engage, there are women who will be involved in small trades. So maybe selling coconut, and the whole of the coconut they bring out every day may not be more than 2,000 or 3,000 naira. I hope you know that. The whole basin of coconut. If you price everything, may not be 2,000, and then you give the person 60,000 naira in 3 months. That's a huge investment you have given to the person. Huge one.
Honorable Minister, this has taken off already, I suppose. It has taken off.
The registration has taken off. The real work begins in the next few days, in October 1.
And there's a very likelihood of you extending this, especially when...
The president, we'll see what happens. We pray for more earnings.
Yes.
We pray that federal government has more money. One of the exit strategies that the government may also extend more than 3 months. They see how successful it is. They may also, we are also creating a database of these unemployed persons at the lowest level of the economy. Because as we are registering them, we are getting a database for them. So that governments can also use the data at any time to call upon them to do other things. And so they can also move them to some kind of huge agricultural, program, which government is thinking about too. So the exit strategies are there for government. But let us begin by doing this, by creating this kind of database, know those who are laborers across the country, expand the data as time goes on, know how to use them, how to productively use them as time goes on. But then it is a starting point, and people should not criticize this. Those who criticize this are those who are thinking that we should concentrate only on the elites and only on the graduates. No, we won't do that. They are also a vital part of the economy.
This surely is part of the 10 million jobs promised by the President Muhammadu Buhari in 5 years. And one of our worries, some of us, is that we do not have one dependable mechanism, independent mechanism to measure the workability or how realistic this pronouncement is. And it's ongoing. 10 million jobs in 5 years.
No, 100 million people in 10 years. So we are talking of 10 million per annum.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you this. And I want you to help educate people too.
Okay.
Now, when they are looking for 10 million jobs, people want to see 10 million employment letters. It's not going to happen. Because that, to their mind, that is the kind of job they are looking for. They want to see that this year, government gave out 10 million employment letters. Go and resume here, go and resume there. No. For government, the major aim of government is to make sure that they skill up the population. And that is the only way out of an unemployment crisis. Skill up the population to the extent that people can now go and be self-employed. And that's what Empower is doing. Young graduates, even whether you read some other courses and all that, just come and learn something to do, something that can give you some kind of daily earnings. And whilst you are learning that, government is paying you some stipend every month to keep you alive until you acquire the skill, and then you just, seamlessly go on your own and begin your own trade. And that's what we're trying to do. And this type of, skill acquisition programs, you see them, every budget, pick our budget for this year. They are across many departments and ministries to tell you how government values this kind of thing. You will see them, a lot of them under labor, under the departments under labor, NDE, MPC. You see a lot of these training programs. You go to Ministry of Trade and Investment, you see a lot of them under SMEDAN and all that. Even the Office of the Vice President that you had, things like Empower and all that before. You see a few of those things left. You now see under the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and all that. You see them, a lot of this. So the last time I checked, about 500 and line items in the entire budget. 500 different line items that has to do with training and skill acquisition, and in some cases they give them starter packs to begin. These are employment they are creating. People just wait and they want to see the employment letter. It's not going to happen. Somebody you have trained and given a starter pack, you have employed that person. And so we want people to see it in that. And I even think, to my mind, that people are not even capturing what government is doing more, as appropriately for employment. I don't think the MBS is even capturing that. When MBS is capturing employment or unemployment, they're not capturing that type of employment. The one that is created in the agricultural sector, the one that is created by skilling up the population and then leaving you to begin your trade. You train somebody in carpentry for 3-4 months. He knows how to make small furniture. You give him a saw, hammer, and everything. And is that person not employed?
That's what your
that person is employed already.
Blue collar job, the blue collar job.
Yes.
All right, Honorable Minister, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back after this timeout. Don't go away.
We're talking violence.
Welcome back. This is Violence Free World, and we're still talking with the Honorable Minister, Barrister Festus Keyamo. Now, Honorable Minister, something happened some months back, and you came to mind. I was wondering how Festus Keyamo will be feeling this moment, knowing that you're a die-hard supporter of Muhammadu Buhari. I don't know when that love started for you, but in Katsina, the protest came forth, and the unimaginable, at least to me, happened when from amongst young people, they got together. A lot of people believe that most of them being unemployed, and they were even pulling down the billboards of the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, one of their own, their son, yes. Now, that was for as far as youth restiveness is concerned, and invariably violence, the larger violence. I was wondering, how did that hit you? Is that a thumb down for your man?
It's not a thumb down. Nobody scored 100% votes everywhere. Did he even in Katsina? Did he score 100% vote there? If he scored 92, there's 8% that's angry with him. There's nobody that can God anywhere. I don't know why people overblow these incidents like that. You have PDP supporters in Katsina State, don't they? Don't you have them? Who will say, look, let us create a scene today, and you bring one small camera and you record 50 people. 50 people pulling on board, and is that Armageddon? Please ask another question. That is not an issue. And then you now bring it and put it in the headline as if the whole Katsina is burning. Why didn't those people come out and vote? Go back and go. Look, the only way we test popularity is by voting. It's not by social media posts. It's not by social media vote. So all those who think that he has lost popularity or the APC has lost, wait till the next elections. That's what they said before the last election too. They said so. And we told them that, look, reality is different from social media. Social media creates a false sense at times of either euphoria or some kind of false sense. These days, in almost all the elections, social media and the pundits are always wrong. Because what the reality on the ground is different at times from social media. I mean, what is the hoopla about 50 people caught on one small tape and then you arrange them and they say they are pulling down a board? What's the meaning of that? To how many voters? To 2-point-something million voters. What's the meaning of that? It doesn't prove anything. It doesn't prove anything.
Okay, now, finally, I'd like to respond to this issue of many young people looking to violence as an alternative to making it in life, especially when they see people, celebrated violent people, become very, very comfortable with life to the extent of being given chieftaincy titles, being made even political office holders, or some even aspiring and becoming elected officials. And they are now sitting back and begin to think that, well, this could just be an alternative. Besides, some of them are even being recruited into Boko Haram. Some are becoming bandits. These are people looking at these things as an alternative. What would you say to that? Please speak to it.
Well, I think it's warped, it's a product of warped societal values. It didn't start today. It didn't start yesterday. It has always been with us. It will take a whole lot of national reorientation to correct that. Because we have learned to worship the end product, no matter how it comes, not the process that produces the end product. And so once you see the end product, that it is a Rolls Royce, you see the end product that is a house in the A-class area of the city, that is what you worship. You don't ask, what produced this? How did this person get here? You don't want to know. And that is what we should actually look at. Whether it is noble, whether it's a noble cause or a productive, cause that brought the person to that point. So if the celebration of violence, the celebration of fraud, the celebration of all of these useless values in society is not something that we can be proud of. It's not something you can even attribute to the present government or even past governments. It built up over the years. It's a question of society itself. Yes, you can blame government to the extent that, well, because government itself has not made adequate laws to rein in such people, or because of politics they overlook some of these people because they are supporters of the ruling party, and so you see a thug at times, a clear thug who promotes violence, now becomes a commissioner in a state. In fact, the only way at times you can warm yourself into the heart of a governor of a state is by being his thug. Is that your CV is that I have killed 2 people for him, or I was the one that beat up people in the garage that day or in the rally for the governor, and so the governor takes note of you and calls you in. The gentlemen who speak English, they don't recognize them politically in those places. We saw an example recently in one state in Nigeria where somebody was killed, by the soldiers. And it happened to be that he was on talking terms with the governor every day. And the whole state apparatus was even brought to defend the gentleman instead of deprecating what he had done and all he had done. So if you now place that kind of person on the high pedestal before how will you not encourage young ones coming behind to also adopt that type of conduct too? My feeling is that if you had wanted to complain, you shouldn't even complain publicly about this thing. You can complain privately, but not a state government defending publicly people known to be killers. No, I don't think it is morally right. You can complain about the process privately to the law enforcement agencies, but don't come out publicly to defend and associate yourself with such characters.
Your word of advice, young people particularly.
Well, I think that we need more role models for the young people, more role models who the society can appreciate, who live straight lives. The society should appreciate them, for them to be role models to the younger ones coming up. I've been very happy, in the last few years, due to the growth of the entertainment industry in Nigeria. They have been positive influence in the lives of young people. I must say that. So it's not all negative. The comedy industry has grown. In fact, those people do skits for living now. A lot of them are online now. And that is positive. That's positive. It's creating employment. Advertisers are leaving traditional advertising channels now, I hope you know that, and going online. And they're paying them so much. They are not going to NTA and channels again to advertise as much as online. They go to the skits, those who do small skits and advertise. That's creating. Musicians, we have created a Nigerian sound in the last few years, thanks to some of our local producers here who've decided to create a unique Nigerian beat for, you have You are a beat man. I know you are a beat man. So
Live beats, man.
you like this. Live beats. Live beats. So I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Very
To
well.
produce we have generated a unique Nigerian type of sound now. So much so that on the downside of that, if you put the lyrics at times, different lyrics on different sounds, it will enter. Because, or if you just remove the lyrics, for example, remove the lyrics from one person's music to the other person's music to 10 musicians, you will hear the same beats in the background. But it's unique, it's our unique Nigerian sound. Just the same thing with reggae. The same thing you see with reggae too. So it's not a minus really for Nigeria. The reggae, you hear the gang, and you hear it all over Jamaica. You will now use different lyrics on the normal, reggae baseline, baseline of reggae. So it's our culture. So that, I'm just saying that we are developing, different positive role models in entertainment and all that for the young ones coming up.
Honorable
And
Minister,
we should encourage that.
Honorable Minister, I think that's a very, very good point to leave it. You've said so much, and I've learned so much today. All right. Well, I've been speaking with Festus Keyamo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Minister of State for Labor and Employment. And this has been our show today, Violence Free World. Same time next week promises even more. Until then, please remain on the road to a violence-free Nigeria.
No more to violence.